I brought my PC 14,000 kilometers from Singapore to London, and here's what I learned. Number one, should you check in or have your PC in carry-on luggage? Well, as much as possible, I would recommend you have things in carry-on, because we all know check-in luggage get thrown around by airport security staff. Even if you had a fragile sticker on there, who's to know that it doesn't get mistreated on the journey to where you are going? But the thing is, you can only really have your PC as carry-on luggage if you have a small form factor PC. If you're building an ATX rig, a MATX rig, something bigger, then that's going to be a bigger problem and less likely you're going to be able to have it as carry-on. But if you have the option to choose a small form factor rig and have it as carry-on luggage, is my personal recommendation, so you can look after it. The next thing I recommend you do though is you definitely want to be taking out your GPU and your RAM, even if you have your PC as carry-on luggage. GPU and RAM, you know, they're very fragile bits. They're only connected to your PC via the PCIe slot or the RAM slot, which is just a thin piece of silicon with metal on it, and it's going to be quite fragile. Taking them out, putting them in an anti-static bag is a good way to protect some of the most valuable parts in your PC without being too concerned. Unlike your CPU, which is going to be snugly and securely and safely inserted in your motherboard and protected by your CPU cooler, your GPU and RAM are exposed, so it's just a good idea to keep them with you in a separate carry-on backpack or something. The next question you might have is water cooling. Can I bring a water cooler on board, since water isn't technically allowed to be brought onto planes? As far as I can tell, the answer is actually no, you can't bring a water cooler on board technically. But the thing is, I've read a couple of forum posts that suggest that airport security don't really mind and don't really care so long as it's a closed loop all-in-one system that can't be opened and water can't get out. Also, if it's inside a PC, it's probably something that they are used to seeing and they know what's up, and the most they might do is swab it. I didn't want to take this risk since I was bringing my PC all the way from Singapore to London, so I decided to just check in my PC into my luggage, which then leads me on to my next point to do if you're checking in your PC in your luggage. Now, obviously, first thing you gotta do is take out your GPU and take out your RAM, as I've said before, but the next thing you want to be doing is packing in your PC full of something. It could be old tissues, it could be newspaper, something that won't damage the PC parts, but something that will also fill in the empty space so that the parts in there can't move, can't shake, can't vibrate during transit. If you can secure the parts in there, like your water cooler or your everything, it's less likely to break if it's not able to move around and hurt itself. What I did was I used soft cell foam I got from buying different electronics that I just kept, and I just packed my PC full of it. So if you don't have soft cell foam and you have no way of getting it, you could just use tissue papers and newspapers to fill in the loose space. It's actually going to work just fine. Also, I would strongly recommend you use a water cooler if you're building a PC to brought to other countries, since water coolers are way more secure than air coolers. Air coolers are really heavy, so they put a lot of strain torquing on your motherboard, which isn't great. They have exposed metal fins that might chip off, break off, which will hurt other PC parts as well as itself. They're bigger, they're bulkier, so less likely you'll be able to use an air cooler with a small form factor case. And also, water coolers are more secure. There's 4 screws holding a water block into your motherboard. There's 8 or 12 screws holding the radiator and its fans into your case, which means more security. The only concern with water coolers, of course, is the water, as I've mentioned. Also, as part of checking in my PC into my luggage, my PC was also put in luggage which had clothes in it. So I used my clothes to kind of protect my case by having a layer of clothes, my PC, clothes on the left and right and sides of it, and then clothes on top, and then closing my luggage over it. After all, I moved to London, so I had to bring clothes with me anyway, and a lot of clothes, so it just made sense to use my clothes in a way that was space efficient and also protected my PC. You can consider doing that too. And that leads me to the last question. Is it even worth it to go through all the hassle, the trouble, and the problems of bringing your PC across different countries to move to that country? But if you're moving countries, is it even worth it? In some situations, the answer is absolutely yes. Like for me, the answer is yes. My PC is full of parts that were sent to me by awesome sponsors like AMD, Aftershock, Arctic Cooling, and Cooler Master. So it just didn't make sense for me to sell all those parts because I can't sell sponsored parts and then just buy them again in the UK. But if you had the option to sell those parts and you could get a good amount of money back, maybe it's just not worth the hassle to bring your PC cross-continent. Instead, just sell your parts and then rebuild it in wherever you're going. But then there's also the concern of like, is where you're going a place that has a lot of PC parts? Is where you're going a place where PC parts are reasonably priced? If the answer is no, then I think the best idea is to bring your PC along with you. And I guess some people also have sentimental value when it comes to PCs. So that is something you have to consider as well. For me, pretty straightforward. I had no choice but to bring it because I can't sell these parts and I can't afford to build another PC here. Either way though, the whole thing, in my opinion, was completely worth it because now I have a pretty sick gaming setup even though I'm in student accommodation, and I have the ability to hit Radeon in the EU servers, which hopefully does happen so that I can establish credibility as a gaming mouse reviewer. Hopefully though this video was helpful to you or interesting, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask down below. Like and subscribe,